The deep silence of space shattered as the Zrixthi ship's sensors blared to life. On their main display, a vessel of unknown design approached through the darkness. First Officer Teklar's antenna twitched nervously as the strange ship grew larger on their screens. Its design was unlike anything in their database. Blocky, practical, and built with what their scanners identified as primitive materials. Commander Peter Walsh stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force ship Pioneer, watching the alien vessel with careful eyes. After years of searching for intelligent life, humanity's first contact was about to begin. He straightened his uniform and looked at his crew, each person chosen specifically for this historic moment. "All readings are stable, Commander," Linda Crawford said from her communication station. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panel as she monitored the incoming signals. "They're broadcasting something, but it's like nothing we've seen before." Walsh nodded, keeping his expression calm despite his racing heart. "Keep monitoring." "Sam, how's our defensive status?" "Shields are up but powered low, just like we discussed," Officer Sam Bailey reported. "We don't want to appear aggressive, but we're ready if things go south." The alien ship hung in space like a giant silver leaf, its surface smooth and gleaming. It was beautiful in an otherworldly way, but Walsh couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The way it positioned itself, slightly above their ship, reminded him of predatory animals establishing dominance. "Sir," Linda called out, "they're responding to our greeting message. The computer is working on translation." The main screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. The creature had pale blue skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and delicate antennae that moved like seaweed underwater. Its mouth was small and lipless, and when it spoke, the words came through the translator in a mechanical monotone. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Zrixthi Federation space. Identify your species and purpose." Walsh stepped forward. "I am Commander Peter Walsh of the Earth Defense Force ship Pioneer. We represent humanity and the planet Earth. We come in peace and hope to establish diplomatic relations." The alien's antenna went rigid. "Scan complete. Your species is classified as Category 7 Evolutionary Divergent. Your vessel's construction materials indicate pre-spacefaring civilization development." "This is impossible. Explain." Walsh frowned. Something in the alien's tone had changed. "I'm not sure I understand. We achieved faster than light travel 15 years ago. We're here as equals, hoping to." "Impossible." The alien cut him off. "Your biology indicates development on a death world. Your species should not have achieved sentience. This is a violation of natural law." The tension on the bridge rose. Walsh kept his voice steady. "Perhaps we could meet in person to discuss these differences. We've prepared a delegation. Bio readings indicate extreme bone density, redundant organ systems, and natural resistance to radiation. You are an evolutionary aberration. This meeting is terminated." The screen went dark. Warning alerts began blaring across every console. Multiple weapon systems powering up on the alien vessel. Sam shouted, "They're taking up attack positions." Walsh's training kicked in. "Raise shields to full. Get me ship-wide." A quick tone indicated he was broadcasting to all decks. "All hands, battle stations, security teams to diplomatic reception area. This is not a drill." The first shot from the alien ship hit them before he finished speaking. The Pioneer shuddered, but their shields held. "Minimal damage," Sam reported. "Their weapons, sir, they seem to be designed to target nervous systems. Our shields are deflecting most of it, but any hit to an unshielded area could be bad. Get our diplomatic team back from the reception area," Walsh ordered. "Linda, keep trying to hail them. There has to be a way to fix this." But the Zrixthi ship was already launching what looked like boarding pods. The first contact humanity had dreamed of was quickly becoming a nightmare. "Sir," Linda's voice was urgent, "I'm picking up transmissions. They're calling for reinforcements. They're describing us as as an impossible evolutionary threat that needs to be contained. Walsh looked at the tactical display, watching more enemy ships appear on long-range sensors. He had trained for first contact scenarios for years, but nothing had prepared him for aliens who would attack simply because humans didn't fit their understanding of how life should evolve. "All hands," he said grimly. "Prepare to repel boarders. Let's show them exactly what humans can do." John Martinez checked his combat suit's seals one final time as alarms blared through the Pioneer's corridors. Around him, his fellow Navy SEALs prepared for combat, their movements quick but precise. They had trained for alien encounters, but no one had expected their first contact to turn hostile this fast. "Looking sharp there, Martinez," said Kate Miller, his team's weapons specialist. She handed him an extra energy cell for his rifle. "Try not to get yourself killed out there." Martinez grinned, the expression crinkling the corners of his eyes. "You know me, Miller. I'm too stubborn to die." The ship shuddered as another blast from the Srixthi vessel hit their shields. Captain Walsh's voice came over the intercom. "Boarding pods detected. All security teams to defensive positions." Through the nearby viewport, Martinez watched as several silver pods shot toward their ship like bullets. The aliens were coming, ready or not. He took his position near Airlock 3, where the computer predicted one pod would attach. The sound of metal grinding against metal filled the corridor. They were here. "Remember," Martinez told his team, "non-lethal shots if possible. This might still be a misunderstanding." The airlock doors sparked and began to glow red as the aliens cut through. Martinez raised his weapon, heart steady. He'd been in tough spots before, but this was different. This was history in the making. The door burst inward with a shower of sparks. Blue-skinned aliens poured through, wearing sleek armor that seemed to flow like liquid metal. They raised weapons that looked more like musical instruments than guns. "Hold your ground," Martinez shouted as the aliens fired. Strange purple beams filled the corridor. Where they hit the walls, they left no marks. But when one struck Miller's arm, she dropped like a stone. "Miller." Martinez rushed to check on her while the rest of the team provided cover fire. She was breathing but completely paralyzed. The aliens chittered in surprise when their weapons hit Martinez directly, and nothing happened. He felt a slight tingle, like his foot falling asleep, but nothing more. "Impossible," one of the aliens shouted through their translator. The neural disruptor had no effect. Martinez couldn't help it. He laughed. The situation was just too absurd. Here they were, humanity's best-trained soldiers, facing their first alien invasion, and their weapons just tickled. His laughter seemed to terrify the aliens more than any weapon could. They backed away, firing frantically. More beams hit Martinez, and each one only made him laugh harder as the tingling sensation increased. "Fall back," the alien commander ordered. "The human is immune to our weapons." But Martinez couldn't let them escape, not with Miller down and more pods attaching to other parts of the ship. He advanced through their fire, each step deliberate and steady. "Now, folks," he said, his voice still carrying traces of laughter, "why don't we talk about this like civilized beings?" The aliens retreated into their pod, but Martinez was faster. He jumped through the airlock before they could seal it, ending up alone in the alien boarding pod as it detached from the Pioneer. "Martinez, what's your status?" Walsh's voice crackled through his radio. "Slight change of plans, sir," he replied, watching through the pod's window as it carried him toward the alien mothership. "I appear to be taking the fight to them. Get out of there. That's an order." "No can do, sir. Pod's already sealed and moving. But I think I'd finally understand what's happening here." Martinez checked his weapon and gear as the pod approached the alien ship. Their weapons are designed to disrupt normal nervous systems. But thanks to the neural shielding we all got after the Mars incident, plus good old human resilience, they can't stop me. The pod docked with a solid thunk. Through the door, Martinez could hear aliens arguing in their strange language. "Sir," he said into his radio, "I'm going to try something crazy. If I can reach their communication center, maybe I can convince them we're not the monsters they think we are. The pod's door began to open. Martinez took a deep breath and smiled. Sometimes the best way to make peace was to show your strength, and right now, his greatest strength was the fact that he simply wouldn't go down. "Here goes nothing," he muttered, and stepped into alien territory, still chuckling at the absurdity of it all. Science Officer Klavek stared at the security feeds in disbelief. The human was still advancing through their ship's corridors, shrugging off weapons that could drop a charging Karn beast. Even more disturbing was the sound coming from him, a rhythmic vocalization that the translation matrix identified as laughter. "Play the biological scans again," Klavek ordered her assistants. The holographic display lit up, showing the human's internal structure. "This makes no sense. Look at the bone density. It's nearly twice what should be possible for a sentient species." The human on the screen, Martinez, according to their intelligence, casually walked through another neural disruptor field. He paused, stretched as if working out a mild cramp, and continued forward. "3 security teams have fallen back," her assistant reported. "They say their weapons only make him laugh harder." Klavek's antenna twitched in agitation. "Show me his planet of origin again." The display changed to show Earth. The data scrolling beside it seemed impossible. Crushing gravity, toxic atmosphere filled with corrosive oxygen, extreme temperature variations, and radiation levels that should prevent complex life from forming. How did they survive long enough to develop intelligence? She wondered aloud. Their world should have killed them. Another alarm sounded. Martinez had reached level 3, moving steadily toward the ship's communication center. Security footage showed him stopping at each disabled security officer, checking their vital signs and placing them in recovery positions. "He's helping our people," Klavek realized. "Even after we attacked his ship, he's ensuring our safety." The ship's commander, First Speaker Rickstall, burst into the science center. "Have you found a way to stop this creature yet?" Klavek's inner eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of intense thought among her people. "First Speaker, I don't think we should stop him. Look at this footage." She played a sequence showing Martinez encountering a locked door. Instead of breaking it down, he had carefully bypassed the security system, causing minimal damage. Another clip showed him speaking calmly to a group of terrified maintenance workers, even making gestures their cultural database identified as peaceful intentions. "First Speaker," Klavek said, "I believe we made a serious error in judgment. These humans, they're not violent monsters. They're survivors. Their entire evolution took place in conditions we consider unsurvivable. What we see as weapons, their bodies treat as minor irritants." On the screen, Martinez was talking to his ship through his communication device. The translation matrix picked up his words. "No, Commander, they're not evil. They're just scared. And honestly, who wouldn't be? We probably look like Space Orcs to them." "What is an orc?" the First Speaker demanded. Klavek quickly searched their cultural database. "A mythical monster from human stories. He's making a joke. He understands why we're afraid of him." More alarms sounded. Martinez was now 1 level away from the communication center. Security teams were falling back, not because he had hurt them, but because their weapons were useless and his continuous laughter was affecting their morale. "First Speaker," Klavek said urgently, "we must change our approach. This human has had countless opportunities to harm our people, but he hasn't taken any of them. He's trying to reach our communication center. I believe he wants to talk." "Talk? After we attacked his ship?" "Yes, and that may be the most remarkable thing about him." Klavek brought up Martinez's biological scans again. "We thought their physical resilience made them monsters, but look, they evolved on a world that should have killed them. Yet they developed art, music, and a desire for peaceful contact. They're not just surviving anymore. They're thriving." The First Speaker watched as Martinez helped another fallen security officer into a more comfortable position. The human was still chuckling. but the sound seemed less frightening now. Perhaps, the first speaker said slowly, we should listen to what he has to say. Indeed, Klavik agreed. After all, any species that can laugh in the face of our strongest weapons might have something valuable to teach us about resilience. Above them, Martinez continued his steady advance, his laughter echoing through the ship's corridors like a message. Strength doesn't always have to mean violence, and the most powerful response to fear might just be a sense of humor. Martinez wiped sweat from his forehead as he approached the next security checkpoint. The aliens had tried something new this time. They'd raised the temperature in this section to levels that would cook most species alive. For Martinez, it just felt like a hot summer day in Arizona. Getting creative, aren't they? He said into his radio. The connection to the Pioneer was weak but still working. John, what's your status? Commander Walsh's voice crackled through static. Hot enough to make me miss my mom's swimming pool, but I'm fine. Martinez chuckled as he checked his suit's temperature reading. They've got it up to about 150 degrees Fahrenheit in here. Guess they don't know about human sweat glands. 3 more alien security officers appeared at the end of the hallway. They carried larger weapons this time, heavy cannons that hummed with energy. Martinez raised his hands to show he meant no harm. Folks, we really don't need to do this again, he called out. The translator in his suit converted his words to their language. I just want to talk. The demon speaks. One of them shouted, fire the pulse cannons. Blue-white energy filled the corridor. Martinez felt his hair stand on end as the energy passed through him. His muscles twitched, and for a moment, his vision blurred. But then his neural shielding kicked in, and the sensation faded. He couldn't help it. He burst out laughing again. That one actually tickled. The aliens backed away in horror as he walked forward, still chuckling. Their weapons could power a small city, but they couldn't stop one laughing human. Martinez, Walsh's voice came through again. Our sensors show they're powering up something big. Be careful. Always am, sir. Martinez paused to help one of the alien officers who had fallen in their rush to retreat. You okay there, buddy? Those cannons of yours have quite a kickback. The alien stared at him in confusion. Here was the unstoppable creature they'd been trying to kill, helping them up and asking about their welfare. Suddenly, the ship's lighting changed to a deep purple. A new voice boomed through the corridors in both alien language and translated English. Attention unknown human. You have penetrated to level 2. The next section contains our experimental weapons division. Retreat now, or we will be forced to use untested technology. Martinez looked at the alien he'd helped up. You folks really don't do things halfway, do you? He smiled and called out to the ship's speakers. Look, I get it. I'm scary. I'm from a planet you think should be impossible to live on. Your weapons don't work on me, and that terrifies you. But has anyone stopped to wonder why I haven't fired back? There was silence in the corridor. Even the alarms seemed to quiet down. I'm trying to reach your communication center because I want to prevent a war, Martinez continued. My people are probably pretty angry right now. You did attack us first, but I think we can fix this if we just talk. The alien he'd helped up suddenly spoke into a communicator. First speaker, I think the human is telling the truth. He could have killed me, but he helped me instead. Martinez patted the alien's shoulder gently. See, we can be friends. Though I have to admit, your weapons are starting to get creative. What's next? Trying to teleport me into space. A pause, then the alien looked away awkwardly. Wait, seriously? That was going to be next. Martinez's laughter echoed through the corridors again. Oh man, we really need to sit down and compare notes on our technology. But first, maybe we could turn down the heat. I'm sweating through my suit here. To his surprise, the temperature began to drop. Perhaps they were finally starting to understand. But as the air cooled, new alarms began to sound. Avo, the alien beside him said. Those are the experimental weapons powering up. Someone in command still wants to stop you. Martin sighed and checked his suit seals again. Well, can't say this isn't interesting. Ready to see what other impossible things humans can survive. He stepped forward, his laughter mixing with the sound of powering weapons, walking steadily toward whatever strange devices the aliens had in store for him next. In the science center of the Zrixthi ship, Officer Klavek and her team intercepted a transmission from the human vessel Pioneer. The message contained personal data about their unstoppable visitor, and what they learned changed everything. Play that message again, Klavek ordered, her antenna twitching with interest. The holographic display showed images and text about John Martinez. He wasn't a super soldier or a genetic experiment as they had feared. He was simply a father of two from a place called Arizona on Earth. Look at this, her assistant said, pointing to an image. It showed Martinez at what appeared to be a human celebration. He was holding a small human child on his shoulders while another played nearby. All of them were laughing. These are his offspring, the first speaker asked, entering the room. Yes, Klavek replied. According to this data, he joined their military forces to provide better opportunities for his children. His service record shows multiple awards for saving lives, not taking them. Meanwhile, several decks below, Martinez was dealing with the latest attempt to stop him. The aliens had filled the corridor with some kind of gas that turned solid when it touched his suit. Nice try, he said, breaking through the crystal-like formation. Reminds me of the time my kids mixed cornstarch and water in the kitchen. Made a huge mess, but they learned some good science. His radio crackled. John, Linda Crawford's voice came through from the Pioneer. We're picking up a lot of chatter from their ship. They're accessing your personal records. Martinez shrugged as he helped another alien security officer up from where they had slipped on the crystallized gas. Not much to hide. Though I hope they don't see that photo from the office party last Christmas. You know, the one with the reindeer antlers. Back in the science center, Klavek was making another discovery. First speaker, look at these readings from his home region. This Arizona regularly experiences temperature swings that would kill most species. The humans don't just survive there, they build homes and raise families. The display showed images of the desert state, massive rock formations, dry valleys, and human cities thriving in conditions that would be considered hostile on most worlds. And his laughter. The first speaker asked, "Is it some kind of combat technique?" "No," Klavek said, studying the data. "It appears to be a natural human response to absurd or stressful situations. Their bodies release chemicals that help them cope with stress through this vocal expression." Martinez's file specifically mentions his tendency to laugh in dangerous situations. His commanding officers note it as a positive trait, something that helps keep others calm. On the security feeds, they watched as Martinez encountered their latest defense, a gravity field that should have crushed him to the floor. Instead, he was slowly walking through it, though his movement was clearly harder. "Woo," he said to the nearest camera, his voice trained but amused. "This is like that time I had to carry both kids and all the groceries up 3 flights of stairs when the elevator broke. Good workout, though." His strength, Klavek realized, it's not just physical. Look at his approach. He's had multiple chances to use violence, but he keeps choosing to help our people instead. He's trying to show us something. The first speaker watched as Martinez finally cleared the gravity field, immediately turning to shut it off so it wouldn't affect the alien security teams following him. "Show me his children again," the first speaker commanded softly. The display changed to show 2 young humans playing in what appeared to be a learning center. The data showed they were top students, proud of their father's work in space. "All this time," the first speaker said, "we thought we were defending against a monster. But we're watching a father who crossed the stars to make a better universe for his children. And even when we attacked him, he remembered to be kind." Klavek's antenna drooped in shame. "We should have tried harder to understand before we attacked." "Perhaps," the first speaker replied, watching Martinez help yet another fallen security officer. It's not too late to learn from our mistakes. Through it all, Martinez's laughter continued to echo through the ship's corridors, no longer a sound of terror, but a reminder that strength and kindness could exist in the same heart. The Zrixthi High Command's emergency meeting chamber buzzed with nervous energy. 12 of the most powerful aliens in their federation watched the screen showing Martinez's steady progress through their strongest ship. Impossible, High Commander Vertix said, watching Martinez walk through their latest trap, a chamber that should have frozen him solid. Play the gravity readings from his home planet again. The central display lit up with Earth's specifications. The numbers made several council members' antennae droop in shock. Their gravity is 1.5 times stronger than any other known civilized world, Science Elder Mikra explained. Their muscles and bones developed to handle crushing pressures we thought would prevent intelligent life from evolving. On the screen, Martinez was singing something as he defrosted himself. The translation matrix caught pieces of it. Let it go, let it go. Sorry folks, couldn't resist. My kids love that movie. What about their atmosphere? Another council member asked. Even more shocking, Mikra continued. They breathe oxygen, not just trace amounts. Their air is filled with it. On most worlds, that level of oxygen would be considered toxic. Martinez had reached another security checkpoint. This time, the defenders tried sound weapons that could shatter stone. He just covered his ears, grimaced, and kept walking. Our weapons are useless because we designed them for normal species, Mikra explained. We never imagined encountering beings who evolved on a world that would kill most life forms instantly. High Commander Vertic leaned forward. Show me their weather patterns. The display changed to show Earth's climate data. Several council members gasped. Their temperature variations are extreme, Mikra said. Some regions go from freezing to boiling in the same day. They experience winds that could level cities, storms that dump frozen water from the sky, and natural electrical discharges that split the air itself. And they survive this? Someone asked. No, Mikra corrected. They don't just survive. They thrive. They build homes in deserts, in frozen wastelands, even in places where the ground occasionally splits open to release molten rock. On the security feed, Martinez had encountered their latest defense, a room where the air had been completely removed. They watched as he checked his suit seals, nodded appreciatively, and kept moving. Even space itself doesn't frighten them, Mikra continued. They'd been exploring it with primitive technology for centuries, knowing one mistake meant death. Their first ships were little more than metal cans powered by explosions. The High Commander stood up suddenly. Stop the attack, he ordered. Sir, I said stop the attack. I understand now. He pointed to the screen where Martinez was helping yet another fallen security officer. Look at him. His world should have created monsters, driven by fear and aggression. Instead, it created beings who laugh in the face of danger and still show kindness to their enemies. But sir, one council member protested, he's nearly reached our communication center. Good, the High Commander replied. Let him. I want to hear what he has to say. Science Elder Mikra's antenna twitched in agreement. Perhaps this is why they evolved their ability to laugh. When you live on a world that constantly tries to kill you, you must either learn to face danger with humor or go mad from fear. The council chamber grew quiet as they watched Martinez approach the final security door before the communication center. He had survived weapons that could shatter planets, walked through extreme heat and cold, resisted gravity fields that could crush starships, and shrugged off neural disruptors that could stop entire armies. And through it all, he had not harmed a single alien. Send the order to all ships, the High Commander said. Stand down. Release the lockdown on their vessel. And someone get me a direct line to their Commander Walsh. Sir, his aide asked. We thought their physical abilities made them monsters, the High Commander explained. But look at what they chose to do with that strength. This human could have destroyed us. Instead, he's trying to make peace. He shook his head in wonder. We have much to learn from them. In the corridor below, Martinez finally reached the communications center door. He straightened his suit, cleared his throat, and prepared to face whatever waited on the other side. Whatever happened next would change both their species forever. The door to the communications center slid open with a soft hiss. Martinez stepped inside, expecting more weapons or traps. Instead, he found a room full of alien officials watching him with their 4 eyes wide open. "Well," he said, looking around at the gathered aliens, "this is a bit more welcoming than the last few rooms." He smiled and gave a small wave. "Hi there. I'm John Martinez. Sorry about all the trouble, but your weapons tickle." The High Commander stepped forward. His ceremonial robes sparkled under the ship's lights. "Human Martinez, we have been watching you. You have survived things that should have killed any living being. Yet you helped our people even as we tried to stop you." Martinez shrugged. "Well, yeah. Just because we're tough doesn't mean we have to be mean about it." He pulled out a small data chip from his suit pocket. "I brought something to show you, if you're willing to look." The aliens gathered around their main display as Martinez inserted the chip. Images appeared. Earth cities in deserts and Arctic regions, children playing in snow and rain, astronauts repairing satellites by hand, and finally, Martinez's own family. "This is my daughter's science project," he explained, pointing to an image of a young girl holding a volcano model. "She made it after we had a small earthquake back home. Instead of being scared, she wanted to understand why the ground shakes." The High Commander's antenna twitched with interest. "Your young learn to study what threatens them." "Of course," Martinez replied. "It's kind of our thing. The more dangerous something is, the more we want to understand it. Makes it less scary that way." He chuckled. "Though I have to admit, your weapons research team is pretty creative." That gravity trap was impressive. Science Elder Mikra moved closer. "You found our most deadly weapons amusing." "Well, not amusing exactly, but sometimes you have to laugh at tough situations. Helps you think clearly." Martinez gestured to the room around them. "Like right now. We could be starting a war, or we could be starting something amazing." The High Commander raised all 4 hands in a gesture of peace. "We have contacted your Commander Walsh. Your ship is free, and our fleet stands down." He paused. "But we have a request." "Sure, what do you need?" "Teach us," the High Commander said simply. "Show us how your species survives conditions we thought impossible. Help us understand your resilience." Martinez grinned. "Only if you teach us too. Those neural disruptors of yours. Pretty clever design. And that crystal gas thing. My kids would love to learn how that works." Across the room, screens lit up showing Commander Walsh's face. "Martinez, you okay in there?" "Never better, sir," Martinez replied. "I think we just made some friends. Turns out all we needed to do was show them we're not so scary after all." He turned back to the High Commander. "Though maybe next time, we skip the whole shooting first part." The alien leader's face shifted in what Martinez was starting to recognize as a smile. "Agreed. Though I must ask, how did you stay so calm through all our attacks?" Martinez laughed again, the sound now bringing curious looks rather than fear from the aliens. "I have 2 kids under 10 back home. Trust me, after you've stepped on a Lego brick in the middle of the night, not much can scare you." The room filled with the sound of the translation matrix trying to explain what a Lego brick was, followed by surprised chittering as the aliens understood the joke. It wasn't sophisticated diplomacy, but it was a start. Later that day, as Martinez finally headed back to the Pioneer, he heard alien children in the residential section of the ship asking their parents if they could learn to laugh like the human. Sometimes, he thought, the best way to bridge the gap between worlds wasn't through strength or technology, but through simple human things, like finding humor in tough situations and showing kindness when others expect fear. He had come aboard their ship as a perceived monster. He was leaving as a teacher, a friend, and living proof that the scariest thing in the universe might just be how wrong you can be about someone different from you.